Look, I'm going to tell you something nobody at the pharmacy is going to tell you. That bloated, heavy feeling you wake up with. The pants that fit on Monday and don't fit by Thursday. The mirror moment where you turn sideways and wonder how your stomach got like that overnight. It's not what you ate yesterday. It's what's been sitting inside you for weeks, maybe months. Your colon is supposed to empty itself completely every single day, and most people walking around right now are carrying between 5 and 10 pounds of old waste they don't even know is there. Western medicine looked at this problem and reached for laxatives that wreck your gut in a year. But traditional Chinese medicine figured this out about 2,000 years ago, and the answers were never hidden. They were just never profitable enough to put on a billboard. 6 plants, 7 days, a flatter stomach, and a lighter body, and I'm going to walk you through every one of them. Number 6, cascara sagrada. It's the bark of a tree that grows wild on the Pacific coast of North America, and indigenous healers there were using it long before any European physician wrote it down in a book. The Spanish missionaries who came across it called it sacred bark. That's literally what cascara sagrada means. Sacred bark. They didn't give names like that to plants that didn't work. Now here's the thing about the kind of constipation most people have. It's not the dramatic kind, it's the slow kind. You go, but you don't really empty. You feel like there's always something left in there. Your stomach pushes out below the navel by the end of the day, even when you barely ate. That's stagnant waste. That stool that's been sitting in your colon so long it's gone hard against the walls, and your body has basically given up trying to move it. Cascara doesn't push you with cramps and panic the way over-the-counter laxatives do. What it actually does is wake up the muscles in your colon. Your intestine has its own rhythm, this wave-like motion called peristalsis, and when you've been eating processed food for years, that rhythm gets lazy. Cascara contains compounds called anthraquinones that gently remind those muscles to do their job. The US Pharmacopoeia listed it as an official medicine for over 100 years. They didn't take it off the shelf because it stopped working. They took it off because cheaper synthetic stuff came along. There's a story I love about this one. In the gold rush era, Spanish friars in California would prepare cascara bark and give it to travelers who'd been on the road for weeks, eating dried meat and hard bread. Within a day, those men felt human again. The friars kept the recipe for themselves for decades. They knew what they had. The way you take it is simple. Get the dried, aged bark. Aged is important. Fresh cascara is too harsh. You want bark that's been dried for at least a year. Half a teaspoon in a cup of hot water, steep it for 10 minutes. Drink it before bed. By morning, your body will do what it's been trying to do for months. Don't take it longer than 7 days in a row. This is a reset, not a routine. And honestly, that one alone would change how your stomach looks in a week. But the next plant works on something cascara can't even touch. Number 5, senna. You've maybe seen this name on a tea box at the supermarket and walked right past it. Big mistake. Senna comes from a small shrub that grows in Egypt, India, and parts of the Arabian Peninsula, and Arab physicians were prescribing it back in the 9th century. The Prophet Muhammad himself reportedly recommended it. That's the kind of pedigree this plant has. Here's what most people don't understand about a swollen lower belly. A lot of it isn't fat. It's pressure. It's a colon that's distended because waste is fermenting inside it, producing gas, pushing outward against your abdominal wall. You can do crunches every day for a year, and that bulge won't go anywhere because the problem isn't your muscles. The problem is what's behind them. Senna leaves contain something called senosides, and what these do is draw water into the colon while stimulating the muscle wall to contract. So you're not just irritating your gut into emptying, you're actually softening what's stuck and giving your body the lubrication to release it. Studies done in Germany in the 1980s found that senna, at the right dose, produces a complete bowel movement within 8 to 12 hours. And unlike harsh chemical laxatives, it doesn't leach minerals out of your body when used correctly. There's a village in southern Egypt where people drink senna tea once a week as a tradition passed down for generations. Researchers went there expecting to find gut problems. They found the opposite. Lower rates of colon cancer than the regional average. Lower rates of diverticulitis. The locals just laughed and said their grandparents told them to keep their pipes clean. How you use it matters more than with most plants. 1 gram of dried senna leaves, no more, in a cup of hot water. Steep it for only 5 minutes, not longer, because the longer you steep it, the harsher it gets. Drink it at night. Add a slice of ginger if your stomach is sensitive. 2 or 3 nights in the same week, never every night. The next one isn't a laxative at all, and that's exactly why it works. Number 4, psyllium husk. It comes from the seeds of a plant called Plantago ovata, which grows mostly in India, and Ayurvedic doctors have been using it for over 1,000 years for a problem that confused European physicians for centuries. How do you clean out the colon without irritating it? Psyllium was the answer, and it still is. If you're watching this and any of what I'm saying is hitting close to home, you already know what to do. Hit subscribe. I've got a whole library of plants like this coming, the kind your grandmother's grandmother knew about and we forgot. Stick around. So back to psyllium. Imagine taking a sponge, a tiny dry sponge, and dropping it into water. It swells up to 10 or 15 times its size. That's exactly what psyllium husks do inside your intestine. They absorb water, turn into a soft gel, and as that gel moves through your colon, it physically scrubs the walls. It picks up old waste, toxins, hardened plaque that's been stuck there for who knows how long, and carries all of it out. The thing that makes psyllium different from everything else on this list is that it's not a stimulant. It doesn't force your body to do anything. It just gives your intestine the bulk and the moisture it needs to function the way it was designed to. The Mayo Clinic studied psyllium and found it actually lowers cholesterol on top of cleaning the bowel. 2 birds, 1 seed. In rural Punjab, people have eaten psyllium daily for generations, not as medicine, just as part of breakfast. Centenarians in those villages, men and women living past 100 with sharp minds and working bodies, almost universally consume it. The connection between a clean colon and a long life is something Eastern medicine treated as obvious, while we're still figuring it out. To use it, take 1 tablespoon of pure psyllium husks, put it in a tall glass of water, stir it fast, and drink it immediately before it turns into pudding. Then drink another glass of water right after. This is critical. Without enough water, psyllium can do the opposite of what you want. With enough water, it changes everything in 3 days. Take it once a day in the morning or before dinner. The next plant doesn't clean. It heals what's already damaged. Number 3, aloe vera. And I know you've heard of aloe 1,000 times, for sunburns, for skin, for hair. What almost nobody talks about is what aloe does on the inside, which is where it's been used in Chinese and Ayurvedic medicine for at least 3,000 years. This is where it gets interesting. The lining of your colon is supposed to be smooth, hydrated, and slippery. When you've been constipated for years, when you've eaten too many processed foods, when you've taken too many medications, that lining gets inflamed, it gets dry, it develops microscopic damage. And damaged tissue doesn't move stool efficiently. It also leaks. There's a condition called intestinal permeability, where the gut wall starts letting things into the bloodstream that should never be there. Brain fog, fatigue, weight that won't budge, all of it can come from this. Aloe vera, the inner gel of the leaf, contains over 75 active compounds, and several of them directly repair the mucous membrane of your intestine. There's polysaccharides in there that coat the gut wall like a healing balm. There's enzymes that help break down impacted waste. A study published in Brazil in 2018 showed that aloe juice taken daily for 30 days reduced bloating in nearly 80% of patients with chronic constipation. The participants didn't just go more often, they felt physically lighter. Egyptian healers called aloe the plant of immortality. Cleopatra reportedly drank aloe juice every morning. Whether that's true or just legend, the Egyptians clearly knew something because aloe was found in their tombs alongside the things pharaohs wanted in the afterlife. Here's how to use it. You want pure inner leaf aloe juice, not the whole leaf version that contains aloeine, which can be irritating. 2 tablespoons in a glass of water first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. Wait 20 minutes before eating breakfast. Do this for 10 days and watch what happens to the way your stomach feels by mid-afternoon. You'll forget what bloating felt like. Now, if you only remember one thing from this entire list, make it this next one. Number 2, rhubarb root, not the stalk you put in pies. The root, da huang in Chinese, which translates to great yellow, and it's been the backbone of Chinese herbal medicine for treating intestinal stagnation since at least the 2nd century. Emperors used it, generals on military campaigns carried it. There's records of Chinese physicians prescribing it during the Han Dynasty for what they called accumulation in the middle burner, which is just the old way of saying a stuck digestive system. Look, the reason rhubarb root is on a different level from everything else is because it doesn't just empty your bowels. It moves what Chinese medicine calls heat and dampness out of the body. In modern terms, that means it pulls out inflammation, excess fluid retention, and metabolic waste at the same time it cleans the colon. You don't just lose the constipation. You lose the puffiness in your face. You lose the heaviness in your legs. The bloat under your ribs goes down. The active compounds are called rhine and amodin. Russian researchers in the 1970s tested rhubarb root extract on patients with chronic digestive issues and found that it not only restored regular bowel movements within 48 hours, but reduced abdominal circumference by an average of 3 centimeters in 7 days. 3 centimeters from a root. There's a famous account from the Tang Dynasty about a court physician who treated the emperor's mother for what they called stone belly. She'd been suffering for months. Nobody could help her. He prepared rhubarb root with a few other herbs, and within 3 days, she was walking the gardens again. The emperor rewarded him with a piece of land. That's how seriously they took this plant. You take it as a powder or a tincture, not as a tea, because the heating destroys some of the active compounds. A 1/4 teaspoon of powdered rhubarb root mixed in a small amount of warm water, taken before bed for 3 to 5 days only. This is a serious herb. Use it like a tool, not a snack. And don't use it during pregnancy or if you have kidney problems. That alone could change your week. But the last one is the one I saved for myself, number 1. Triphala. This isn't one plant. It's 3. 3 Indian fruits combined into one formula. And Triphala has been the cornerstone of Ayurvedic gut medicine for over 2,000 years. The 3 fruits are amalaki, bibitaki, and haritaki. Each one works on a different part of digestion, and together they do something none of them can do alone. Here's what makes Triphala the king of this list. Every other plant I've talked about is a tool. You use it for a few days, you get a result, you put it down. Triphala is different. It's a long-term gut rebuilder. The ancient text called the Karaka Samhita, written around the 2nd century before Christ, describes Triphala as the formula that looks after one's body the way a mother looks after her children. That's a quote that's stuck with me my whole career. What it actually does is cleanse the colon, repair the intestinal lining, balance the gut bacteria, and improve nutrient absorption all at once. Modern studies, including one out of the University of Pune in 2012, showed that Triphala increased the diversity of gut bacteria by over 40% in 8 weeks. That's a number that legitimately surprised the researchers. 40%. The difference between a healthy gut and a sick one often comes down to that exact metric. Tibetan monks have taken Triphala daily for centuries. There's a tradition in some Himalayan monasteries where the morning ritual is a small dose of Triphala in warm water before meditation. The reasoning, in their own words, is that the mind cannot be clear if the body is full. They figured that out long before any neuroscientist talked about the gut-brain axis. How to use it? Half a teaspoon of Triphala powder in a cup of warm water, taken at night about an hour before bed. The taste is rough, I'm not going to lie to you. It's bitter and sour and a little sweet all at once. And Ayurveda actually says that complexity is part of the medicine. You can take it every day for as long as you want. This isn't a 7-day reset. This is something you build into your life. 6 plants, that's all this is. Bark from a sacred tree, leaves from a desert shrub, seeds from an Indian field, a healing gel, a powerful root, and 3 fruits ground together. Nothing in that list costs much. Nothing on it requires a doctor. People have been using these for thousands of years to do exactly what I just described, and they still work today because the human gut hasn't changed. We're the ones who got confused about how to take care of it. Start with one, see how you feel, then try another. Your body remembers what to do when you finally give it the right help. Take care of yourself. I'll see you in the next one.